Morning, everybody, for track 2, session 2 on Canadian PM specialty certifications. If you can hear me, just type yes or something in the chat window so I know that we have a good connection. I've occasionally been known to step on or sit on my mute button. Great, thank you very much. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the different certifications that are available from the Project Management Association of Canada. These are PMAC-specific national certifications. These are in addition, extra, on top of the IPMA competence level certifications that the association has available. I'm Kevin Aguanno. I'm the president of PMAC. I'm one of its certified assessors as well, and I'm going to take you into this presentation. So first I want to talk about the differences between knowledge versus competence, because this explains the differences between these different types of certifications and how they differentiate themselves from other certifications. So knowledge is basically a test to show that you know some stuff. A knowledge certification is writing a test, memorizing a book, memorizing some standards, memorizing some terminology, and then sitting down and writing a test and passing the test. That's a knowledge-based test. Like the PMP, sort of. It's knowledge-based, but there is an experiential requirement. The Scrum Master certification is just a knowledge-based test. So those are the typical knowledge-based certifications we have out there. Then, if you have knowledge, once you have knowledge, you want to go out and actually practice that knowledge, try and put it to use, and now you gain experience. So experience is basically showing that you've been able to apply the knowledge. It doesn't say it's been good or bad experience. You may have had horrible experiences. You may have applied the knowledge absolutely incorrectly, but that still earns you experience. We learn from our mistakes. So an example of a knowledge and experience-based certification is the PMP. So the PMP has a requirement for a certain amount of project management experience. So it's both a knowledge-based test, but an experience, there's an experience requirement as well. You can call it an experience-based certification. But as I said, having your PMP doesn't make you a great project manager yet, because you may have earned all that experience on, on disastrous projects that you've really caused problems with. So we want to go one step even further beyond experience to competence. And competence says not only do we have the experience, but our experience has been successful. And we're likely going to be successful again in the future as well, because we've got such a pattern of success. That's now when you start to build competence. Obviously, what employers are really looking for is competence. Competence is the gold standard. That's what everybody wants, is to find out who is a competent project manager. But many of our certifications are knowledge and experience-based. And here's the problem. How do you get competence without having knowledge or experience first? You can't, right? Competence comes through practice, through experience. And what are you practicing? Applying the knowledge. So it's kind of a progressive order. It's like a ladder. You start with knowledge, then you gain experience, and then you gain competence. If you want to get competence as, for example, an agile project manager, you can't start just running agile projects because you don't know what you're talking about yet. And your sponsor may not give you the confidence to give you that first agile project to manage, because you're just too new at it. You don't have any credentials. You don't have any training, and there's no evidence that you're going to, you know what you're talking about. So what you might want to do is get a knowledge-based certification, like a Scrum Master certification or PMAC's Certified Agile PM designation or something else. It's a knowledge-based certification. Based on that, now you can start getting some projects assigned to you to now start accumulating experience. So let's take the example of the Certified Scrum Master or the PMAC's Certified Agile PM certification. Those are both entry-level or beginner certifications that are knowledge-based tests. Once you pass the, you have those certifications, you can use those to go get assigned to some agile projects and start to accumulate experience. Now you might be able to want to pass an exam like the PMI-ACP or the PMI Agile Certified Practitioner. It's a knowledge-based test, but the certification also requires you to have a certain amount of experience. In that case, 1,500 hours of Agile experience. So it's an experience-based qualification. And that's similar to many of the PMI certifications. A lot of them have experience-based elements to them. But they both don't get competence, right? Competence comes from applying it and getting really good at it. And if you want to get a competence-based certification, PMI doesn't offer one. Most places don't. The only place you can really go to right now for competence-based certifications is the IPMA 4-level certification system, which was talked about in the track session before this one, where you have a level D, which is primarily knowledge-based, but then you get into levels A, B, and C, which are competence-based, where you're actually assessing the person's workplace performance to see how successfully they've been able to apply Agile on real projects in the past. So you can get an IPMA level A, B, or C just based on your Agile project. So you'd be a certified Agile project manager, through IPMA level C. You could be a certified senior Agile project manager through IPMA level B, or you could be a certified executive Agile project manager with IPMA level A. So you can work your way up through the competence certifications. But that's using the IPMA path. Today, I'm going to talk to you about 3 certifications that PMAC offers that are knowledge and experience based. The first one is the Certified Agile PM. This certification started in 2009. It is one of the oldest structured, disciplined Agile certifications. There was 1 or 2 available before this. One was primarily only known in Europe. And there was the Certified Scrum Master that was available, but it was a knowledge-based test only and didn't look at the disciplined, structured approach to Agile. It only looked at the sort of the loose, unstructured approach. So Scrum teams didn't have the full project lifecycle. They weren't taught about project planning, project budgeting, financial tracking and management. Those weren't part of the Scrum certification. And I don't believe, and they're still not for the Certified Scrum Master. So this was the first one that took a disciplined, structured view of Agile in January 2009. The exam has expanded since then, and just in Canada, there are, total, there's about 1,600 current people certified. That doesn't include people who let it expire or lapse. That's just the active certifications. There are 1,600 current certifications, and 97% of those are in Canada. There's some in the US, a couple in India, a few in India, some in Europe, and a few in South America and Brazil and Mexico. But most of them, the 97%, are in Canada, with a big cluster throughout Southern Ontario, obviously, where half our population is. A bunch out in Eastern Canada, in New Brunswick and Halifax area. There are a few in Calgary, some in Winnipeg, but not much, not many in BC, not many in, a few in Regina as well. So there's some clusters out west, but the biggest concentration is in Southern Ontario. This certification is an experience-based certification. So it requires both a knowledge of Agile, it tests your knowledge of Agile management, but also has a project management experience requirement, not an Agile management experience requirement. So if you have some project management experience, this is a certificate that goes above and beyond that to increase to show that you have increased knowledge above project management to know how to do project management in an Agile way. So it's experience-based, but not Agile experience-based. So this is a great certificate for people just getting started in Agile who have some PM background. It helps them get into the Agile project management. The exam is offered online or in paper. If it's online, you get it directly through PMAC. And some universities and through their continuing ed programs, or some large organizations offer this course internally to their a preparation course internally to their staff, that at the end of the course they offer the paper-based exam for the certification as well. So it could be written on paper or online. Obviously during COVID, they're all online right now. So this is the intent. So this exam is about agile project management, not agile software development, etc. It's got the PM focus. So it's about how do you estimate and plan and manage and track and control agile projects. There are some requirements. As I said, there's some experience requirements. You need at least a year of project management related experience. And I want to focus on the word related. This doesn't mean you have to be a PM. You could be a developer, you could be, a tester, and you could still have project management related experience. Project management related experience means working on things that are, working on activities that are essentially related to estimating and planning and tracking progress. So almost everybody on a project team gets involved in planning at some point, helping do the work breakdown structure, helping with, task sequencing. What are the dependencies? Almost everybody gets involved in status updates, right? Which is a project management related activity. Almost everybody on the team could be involved in estimating time or costs at various points in time. That would all count as project management related experience. So do you have at least 1 year of project management related experience? And they interpret that very loosely on purpose, because how do you know what a project is in that person's mind? If they approached their university degree as a project, saying, I've got stakeholders, my parents and my professors, I've got quality criteria, my marks, I've got deliverables, my assignments, and, I've got QA activities, or metrics, to gather on my quality levels. That's my tests and assignments. I've got budgets to pay my tuition and things. If you and schedules of planning your work and when you're going to have the assignments handed in. If you approached your degree as a project, then that would be a 4-year project that you've completed. So almost everybody can accumulate the 1 year of project management related experience somehow. The next requirement is that you've got 21 hours of agile training, agile project management training, not just agile training on how to do agile testing or be an agile developer. This is 21 hours of agile project management training. Now, you can take this training anywhere. It could even be self-study, but it has to be agile, project management specific training. The reason the number 21 was chosen, 3 days of training. The reason 3 days was chosen was because the Scrum Master training is typically 2 days. And by design, we didn't want Scrum Masters with no other training to be able to sit down and write this exam, because they'd likely fail. Because as I mentioned earlier, Scrum is a very undisciplined or unstructured approach, right? It doesn't have all the project management discipline and practices about metrics and forecasting, and it doesn't have, there are agile ways of doing all that, but they come from other agile methods other than Scrum. Methods like extreme programming and feature-driven development and, et cetera. Other agile methods have those metrics and have that structure. Scrum doesn't. So we wanted Scrum Masters to have to go out and get at least 1 more day of training to understand the agile PM part of it so that they could possibly pass the exam. So 21 hours of agile project management training. It's a 2-hour closed book, multiple choice exam, whether it's online or paper-based. It's 2 hours, closed book, multiple choice exam. These requirements are the same whether you're writing the certified agile project manager certification that we're talking about, or even if you write the PMAC-AGPC certification that was partially modeled after this certified agile project manager designation. In fact, at one time, the team that was putting together that certification contacted the Project Management Association of Canada. I was involved in some of those discussions and negotiated possibly licensing the PMAC exam to become PMI's certification. And I guess once the PMI executives got wind of that, they said, no, we'll build our own. And they built something hauntingly similar. PMI also requires 21 hours of agile project management training. They require, it's a 2-hour closed book, multiple choice exam. They require at least a year of PM related experience. There is one difference. PMI also requires 1,500 hours of agile experience. That's why it's not just a knowledge-based certification. It is truly an experience-based certification. Now that 1,500 hours could be all on failed agile projects, but you got to have at least 1,500 hours. That's about 8 months full-time of agile experience to write the PMI exam. This one does not have that requirement. So many people use this one as a starting credential to prove to their employers that they understand agile project management, to get assigned to some agile projects where they can accumulate the 1,500 hours to then go and apply for and complete the PMI-AGPC certification. Okay. One other difference there, this certification exam is multiple choice, but it's 40 multiple choice questions. Think about that. 40 questions, and they give you 2 hours. That's an enormous amount of time in which you can answer these questions. Even though it's closed book, PMAC as a design point realized that many Canadians, a very large number of Canadians really don't have English as their first language. So are they, by forcing you to answer a lot of questions quickly, are we testing your understanding of the topic, or are we testing how well you comprehend English? And we figured that's not a fair approach to certify people, to certify their understanding of a concept. So we're going to give you lots of time to read the question, read it twice, think about it, and not give us your fastest answer, but give us your best answer. So it's still closed book, but you have lots and lots of time to complete it. In fact, most people complete the exam in about an hour or an hour and 10 minutes or so. Some people complete it in as little as 40 or 45 minutes, but most people finish somewhere around the 1 hour mark. So having 2 hours means you have lots of time to go back and check your answers if you need to. Let's talk about how to get certified. So there's an online application process. You go to the PMAC website and do /cert.apm. The capitalization on the end part of that URL is important. It's a capital C and a capital APM. If you go there, you'll get a page fully describing the certification with links to the online application forms, the online payment forms. You pay via PayPal. It's $150 per person to sign up for the exam, which is much cheaper than the PMI exam. They're hovering, I think there's around $400 or $500 US right now. So it's $150 per person. And that includes a 6-month membership in PMAC as well. And as soon as you sign up for the exam, you're a member of PMAC. If you're already a member, your membership is extended by 6 months. If for some reason you fail the exam, you can rewrite it for $100 per person as well. Now, those fees are the fees until December 31st of this year. Early in 2021, it has been rumored that they are going to increase. I don't know how much, but they haven't changed in 10 years. So they're due for a significant increase, I think. So if you want to get in before the end of the year, you can save yourself some money. Once the payment is confirmed for the online exams, details will be emailed to you on how to log in and write the exam, usually within 2 business days. Usually within 2 business days, you will get an email with all the login information, the URL, the user ID and password to use. Once you log into that system, you'll see the exam. And once you click that begin button or start button, or it might be called execute, once you click that button, a timer kicks off and you will have 2 hours to write that exam. So if you decide to stop and walk away for a bit and then come back or take a break, you can. Nobody's watching you. It's still closed book, but nobody's watching you. But the timer won't stop. Once you begin a 2-hour window, whether you're done or not, the exam ends and you'll be marked on what was completed. Passing mark is 60%. Now, this is it's a 2-hour timed exam, but you have roughly a month within which to sit down for 2 hours and write the exam. So your user ID and password are provided to you, and it's up to you to find a convenient time for you to write that exam. It could be morning, it could be at night, it could be at lunchtime, whenever, it could be on the weekend. You don't have to check in with us because it's not a proctored exam. You don't need to schedule an appointment. You just say, okay, this is a good shot. I got a couple hours. Let's do it right now. And you sit down and write the exam. At the end of the exam, you'll see your mark right away, whether you passed or failed, it'll tell you. And should you pass, usually within about 3 weeks or so, in the mail, you will get a certificate with a membership kit from the association as well. So you'll get your membership card, some welcome letter, and some other information, some other pamphlets, and your certificate for completing the certification. And you'll be listed in the certification directory. As I said, you've got lots of time to complete it. Unlike the PMI-ACP exam, where there's, I don't know, 100 questions, but you've got still only 2 hours to answer those questions. You've got to blast through those questions very quickly. This one gives you the same amount of time, but only 40 questions. You've got lots and lots of time. Here's what the exam content outline looks like. Here's what the exam covers. There are 4 sections to the exam, equally weighted. The first section is 25% of the exam, and it's on the agile theory, the benefits and risks of agile. So 1 question about the agile philosophy or the agile manifesto. 2 questions about the benefits of agile. 3 questions about the differences between different project life cycles and how agile compares to them. Waterfall, iterative, incremental, and agile. So you need to understand both iterative and incremental to fully understand agile. There's going to be a couple questions on choosing the right iteration length and the processes of time boxing and how that works. 1 question on knowing the names of some common agile methods and being able to distinguish them from non-agile approaches. And 1 question on retrospectives and continuous improvement. That's 1/4 of the exam. The second quarter of the exam is on user stories. This is a way that agile projects use to help define and document requirements. So there's 3 questions on user stories, 3 on prioritization, backlog prioritization, and other things that are prioritized, how it's done, who's involved, when it's done, reprioritization, etc. 3 questions on the different types of backlogs, right? The project backlog, the iteration backlog, defect backlog. So talk about different kinds of backlogs. And 1 question on backlog maintenance or backlog grooming. So that covers half the exam. The second half of the exam is a portion on agile estimating and scheduling. This is something that Scrum teams don't cover at all. So how to estimate in ideal days or story points, the differences between each, how it's done, and then something called the planning game, which is a technique from extreme programming that looks at something called velocity. It's a metric on and using velocity-driven scheduling to take those story points and build them into a release plan, a release schedule. So this is our high-level project plan. It tells you how long the project is, how many iterations it's going to take, the start and end dates of the iterations, and which features or deliverables are targeted for which iteration. That's our release plan. Then we talk about work breakdown structures and estimating in hours. Even though we're agile, that still happens. It doesn't happen at the project level because that would be wasteful in a high change environment. We do it at the iteration level or the sprint level. So we still talk about how we adapt traditional project management practices to the iterations themselves, and then how to build an iteration plan. Agile uses different styles of planning for different sizes of teams and levels of needed coordination, but that gives you a bit of a feel for it. There's also going to be questions on burn down charts, sprint burn down charts, or iteration burn down charts. We talk about project or product burn down charts, and more information on the velocity metric. Now, here's some good news. To recertify, you don't need any PDUs. You don't need continuing education. They figure once you know it, you know it. You're probably going to get better over the years. So you don't have to pay for ongoing training to stay certified. You don't have to register with them to be recertified. In fact, no recertification is needed as long as you maintain your membership in the association, and they gave you a free membership when you signed up. So, and to renew your membership starts as low as $25 per year, depending on the level of membership you're looking for. So there's no recertification fee, but you do need to maintain your membership, but that could be as little as 25 bucks a year. If for some reason you let your membership lapse, your certification will expire. They give you a bit of a 6-month grace period. If you renew your membership, they will reinstate your certification. But if you let it go longer than 6 months, then you will need to rewrite the exam, but you don't have to pay the full exam fee. You just pay the rewrite fee, which is $100 currently. So it's a very minimal cost, very reasonable process, a lot cheaper than any of the other Agile certifications out there. At least at the current prices, I suggest you take a look at it. Okay, there's another Agile certification that another certification PMAC offers, a specialty certification, a knowledge-based certification, and it's a certificate in EPC project management. People who earn this get the initials cert.epc after their name. EPC stands for Engineer, Procure, Construct. It's a very specific way of managing a construction project, an engineering construction project. And because of the very specialized nature of this method of managing these projects, there's obviously a very low number of certificates issued compared to something like, the Agile certification that applies to many different styles and types of projects. This certification started in 2012, so it's been 8 years. It's available online directly from PMAC. There's an online application. It's an online exam. What are the requirements? Well, there's no, we suggest you complete an accredited training program or do some form of self-study because it is a very specialized area of knowledge. Although if you have lots of experience working in EPC, you'll probably pass the exam just fine without a specialized course. So you don't need to take an exam prep course. You can just write it, but you need to have understanding of EPC. So we suggest you do some training or self-study first to get up to speed on the peculiarities of this type of project management. It's a 1-hour open book exam. This one's an open book exam, and it has 40 questions. 35 of them are multiple choice questions, and there are 5 true-false questions. The passing mark is 70%. Again, similar to the other certification, you have to apply online, and there's the link on the screen. In this case, it's $200 per person for 2020 with a free 6-month PMAC membership, and renewals $100 per person. The rewrite is $100 per person if you fail the exam for some reason. It takes a couple days to get back to you once the payment's received. Once you have all your login information, it will take you will have 30 days in which to sit down and write the 1-hour timed exam. Here's the exam content outline for this one. So it talks about, first of all, project delivery systems, the different types. Where does EPC fit in compared to other construction project management techniques like design build, for example? Why owners choose EPC? What are the benefits for owners to choose an EPC approach? There's going to be questions about the EPC process, the design office, and then some basic project management stuff around WBS's earned value, which is a key part to construction project management. A lot on procurement and tendering and the contract administration that goes around the EPC process, which is very specific and peculiar to this style, along with some information on construction management. There'll be some questions on training and the commissioning and startup phase of an EPC project, and some questions on project closeout. Similar to the certified agile project manager, the certificate in EPC project management does not require any PDUs. There's no recertification needed as long as you, or fee paid, as long as you maintain your membership. And as I said before, membership is as little as $25 a year. And if for some reason you don't maintain your membership and then you later renew your membership, you can get the certification re-recognized for $100. You don't have to pay the full $200 fee. You just pay the reduced rewrite fee. So that's the EPC Construction Project Management Certification. And the newest one is our Certificate in Virtual Team Management. PMAC was working on this for a couple of years. We'd announced it a while ago, but we finally rolled it. We finally rolled it out. It's new for 2020. This is actually only a few weeks old. This certification is an exam that's available online directly from PMAC. It's 40 multiple choice questions covering the theory of how to manage virtual or distributed or remote teams. Very important in today's world where we have, due to COVID-19 restrictions, we have employees working from home and trying to figure out how to collaborate effectively with others. This is not a certification on specific tools. It's not how to use Zoom or WebEx or tools like that. It's about, it's not about what buttons to click and what the features are. It's about how to connect with other people effectively so that you can collaborate and manage them effectively remotely. What are the psychological barriers that you have to deal with remote workers? What are some of the common challenges you're going to face? How do you manage in that environment? How do you know your employees are performing? How do you motivate them and inspire them? That's the kind of stuff that's covered in this certification. So it's the theory and the techniques for managing these distributed teams. We suggest you complete an accredited training program, or you can self-study. There are self-study options as well. But it's always good to get some training specific to the theories around managing virtual teams. It's a 90-minute open book exam. Open book again in this case with 40 multiple choice questions. So you got an hour and a half for 40 questions. You got lots of time. There's 40 questions. And it is open book, so you can refer to your class notes if you need to for this one. To certify, you go to the PMAC website /virtual teams. This one, it costs $150 per person with a $100 rewrite fee if you fail. Again, these are 2020 prices. These will change at some point early in the new year, as that's what the rumor says. It takes a couple days to get your login information like the other certifications. You'll have a month in which to sit down and write this exam. And in this case, the passing mark is 60%. And similar to the policies on the other two certifications, recertification process is easy. There is none. As long as you maintain your membership in the association, you don't need to recertify. If you do need to, if your membership expires, you could just pay the exam rewrite fee, rewrite the exam, and get reaccredited for this certification. So that's the information on 3 of PMAC's knowledge-based certifications. There is another one that I haven't mentioned here, but it's not one that we spend a lot of effort on. In fact, it's in its way of being sunset from the association, and that's the PMAC Advanced Certificate in Critical and Structured Thinking. The PMAC Advanced Certificate in Critical and Structured Thinking. That one was focused on, or is focused on, an exam to test your understanding, knowledge-based test, your understanding of more complex, we'll call them problem analysis and decision-making techniques. So it helps you determine, look at problems. What are all the strategies we use to analyze problems? How do you choose the right strategy for the right situation? How do you avoid mental biases in your problem analysis and decision-making? And what are some of the decision-making tools as well? So that's the nature of that exam. That exam will be restructured later in 2021, probably around the summer timeframe. So if you want to get in and get the exam the way it is right now, sure, get in and write the exam before it goes into a much more complex restructuring. It'll be probably, I hear, harder to pass once it's restructured. So you might want to get in while the getting's good. Anyway, again, we recommend you get some knowledge on this. Some of the techniques we may already know, like brainstorming and things like that, but there's going to be many others that you may not be familiar with. So there is a recommended textbook to read that will help you get the bits and pieces of knowledge you might need to pass that exam. And all that detail is on the PMAC website. If you just go PMAC-AGPC.ca/certification, and then just look for specialty certifications and follow the links from there. Okay, I'll open this up for questions. You can type your question in the chat window if you'd like, or we can just unmute your line and ask away. I'm more than willing to answer questions about these certifications. So again, type them in the chat window or just unmute your line and ask away.
Hey, Kevin, it's Mike here.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, I had to join late, so I apologize for that. And I probably missed what I was most interested in, which was the agile. But I was wondering if this slideshow would be available, or do you think the content is on the web that I could just review myself?
The slideshow will the recording. All of these sessions for this this conference today are all being recorded, and they will all end up on YouTube at some point. Okay. it may take a week, but they'll all end up on YouTube. And as you can imagine, there's 26 videos or something to edit and upload. It's going to take a little while, but they'll all end up there, and we will send an email out to everybody with the link so that they can go back and listen to other sessions that they couldn't attend that they might have been interested in.
Yeah, okay.
There is a lot of information on the PMAC website, though. Some of the stuff that I shared that's not on the website is how this compares to other certifications, like the Certified Scrum Master, like the PMI-ACP, and things like that. If you wish, we can chat after the session privately if you wish. Okay. I can fill you in on some of that. In the chat window right now, I'm just going to put in my email address. And I'm putting in my cell phone number if you ever wish to reach me.
Okay.
There, I've just typed them in. Great, thank you. Any other questions? Just type them in the chat window or unmute your line and ask away. We still have 5 minutes or so.
Hello, Kevin.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Yeah.
Ayula.
Yeah, fine. Okay. Okay, I have an ongoing class with you on the Certified Agile Project Manager.
Yes.
Okay, and I was wondering if I sent an email to get for this day 2 and 3 of the recording of the day 2 and 3. I'll be glad if I can get that before the class resumes again on the 11th.
Sure, that would be something. Yeah, I'll send that to you offline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. That was more of a private question than a group question, but I'll, however you can get a hold of me, it works. Okay, any other questions about the CERT APM exam or certification process, or the certificate in EPC construction project management, or the certificate in managing virtual teams or virtual team management? Okay, let me ask you a question. Are there other certifications or certificates, specialty certificates in in very specialized project management areas that you would be interested in seeing the association develop as we move forward? Are there new certificates that you would like to see that we don't have now?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
The question is, I've just named 3 knowledge-based certificates, specialty certificates that PMAC has for PMs to further differentiate themselves from the crowd, right? So for example, in Canada, everybody needs to have their PMP to really have an effective career as a PM, but there are 1 million PMPs out there around the world. So how do you stand out above that crowd? And so these are these specialty certifications that help you, have something above and beyond the basics. I've mentioned 3 of them. Are there other things that you would like to see us develop a certification for that you might be interested in?
Not really at the moment.
Mike, you've unmuted.
I was doing some research on the business administration, and I think that is something that you guys do offer. Is that right?
Business administration.
Procept.
So Procept is one of our sponsors. They're a training company. And in fact, I also hold a role in Procept, but I'm wearing my PMAC hat right now. But Procept also offers business relationship management certification from APMG.
Okay.
That's something that's been newly brought over. But there's other business courses and certifications and things available as well.
Yeah. Okay. So that's not really affiliated with PMAC then.
There is a PMAC certification that isn't listed on our website, but is available, called Certified Agile BA or Certified Agile Business Analyst. The requirements are exactly the same as the Certified Agile Project Manager. It's a 40 question multiple choice exam over 2 hours, right? Except instead of a year's worth of project management related experience, you need a year's worth of BA related experience.
Right.
But otherwise it's identical. The questions are different. It's more on agile requirements gathering and prioritization and dealing with stakeholders and user stories and prioritizing user stories and all the stuff that BAs get involved in. A little bit of testing as well, sort of validating the solution meets the requirements. So a little bit of that in there as well. That's the Certified Agile BA. We don't have it listed on our site because it used to be there, but we took it down because the IIBA, the International Institute for Business Analysts, released their own Certified Agile BA designation about 3 months after we had ours on the market, and there was confusion, and we didn't, and they went and tried to register theirs as a registered trademark, and we didn't want to have any conflicts. So we took our pages down to avoid, trademark infringement while we try to negotiate with them what would happen if we would merge the two, or we would jointly offer the certification between the two organizations. And those discussions kind of stalled for a while. So it's still not up on our site, but we do offer it if you're interested.
Okay, maybe I'm going to go for the Agile first, and then the next step would be probably something along the BA. I'm trying to avoid an MBA just for the effort and cost. Just to try to round out some of my skills, I suppose.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Well,
I've jotted it down here so I can dig into it a little bit later.
Yeah, and you have my email address and phone number if you want more information. I can. But as I said, it's almost identical, really, to the Certified Agile PM. It's just the initials change at the end of your name. Instead of cert.apm, it's cert.aba. The questions will be different topics, but same number of questions, same cost, same process, same requirement, with the one exception that instead of a year's worth of PM experience, you need a year's worth of business analysis experience, related experience. Okay.
Good.
Thanks.
I just want to ask, having PMP, would that compare it to an MSc in project management? What is there any benefit for a PM after being certified to also have an MSc in the project management?
So if you've had your PMP first, that's what employers are really looking for. Typically, the HR departments, at least in Canada and the US, the HR departments get a stack of resumes on their desk for PMs applying to a job. They may get 300 people applying for a job. They'll all have their PMP. And what they do is typically is the ones that don't, they throw them off the desk to make the stack a bit smaller, right? Once they've got, so if you don't have your PMP, it's hard to get a job as a PM in Canada. Not impossible, but it's hard. In certain industries like construction, it's starting to become mandatory to have your PMP. It's not mandatory yet, but it's starting to become more common that employers will demand their engineers go out and get their PMPs. But in IT, it's been pretty much mandatory for years and a lot of change projects as well. So to have a good career, you probably need your PMP. Once you have that, how do you stand out from the other PMPs? You need something more, because the PMP just gets you through that first hurdle, that first sorting, right? You'll make the first cut, but now there's still a big stack of resumes. How do you stand out in that list? And that's where people look at getting other certifications on top of their PMP, such as, agile certifications or methodology certifications or other things to make them stand out a bit more. And that's why we created these specific knowledge-based certifications from PMAC, is to help the PMPs differentiate themselves. A university degree does the same thing. Having a master's in project management, whether it's an MA or a master's in science and project management, or even some universities like Athabasca offers an MBA in project management, that functions equivalently to a more advanced certification on top of your PMP. But it helps you stand out because employers want to see something more than just a PMP. Okay, excellent. We are now out of time. Thank you very much for your time in this session.